Developments are happening in the Pakistani politics, where Pakistan's opposition parties have now come together to demand the ouster of Prime Minister Imran Khan. Now, the leading opposition parties have formed a forum that goes by the name Pakistan Democratic Movement. The forum has come up with a 26-point resolution just hours after the opposition held a virtual all-party conference that was also attended by the former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and Pakistan People's Party's chairman Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. The resolution was read out by the JUIF chief Maulana Fazlur Rahman. The opposition party said that the Imran Khan-led government came to power through rigging. The Pakistan Democratic Movement, or the PDM as this movement is being called, has come up with a 6-point action plan to force Imran Khan to step down as the Prime Minister. The plan also includes anti-government rallies across Pakistan. All right, now to give us insights in terms of what is actually happening in Pakistani politics at this point of time, we're joined in by Dr. Jameel Khan, who is a former diplomat from Pakistan. He's also a senior political analyst as well, and he is joining us live from Karachi. Now, Dr. Khan, thank you very much indeed for joining us on this broadcast on WION. And let me begin by asking you this. The opposition parties in Pakistan have come together and they are demanding nothing less than the resignation of the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan. What has brought these parties together, and is the demand for resignation, is it something that they'll be able to carry through?
Well, on the face of it, it doesn't appear that the opposition parties would be able to mount that much pressure on the Imran Khan government. So at the very outset, the way things are moving, the way the past such efforts by the opposition party, if we see it, whether it was in the parliament or on the roads, it doesn't appear that they would be able to build that much of pressure on the government, that government of Imran Khan or Imran Khan is able to, or is pressurized to resign. So at the face of it, this is what it appears. And secondly, like in most countries, the resignation just is a demand, and it depends what kind of a pressure the politicians, the opposition party can put up. Basically, the opposition party, if they are able to mount pressure in the parliament, they had the best chance at the time of presentation of budget. They had the best chance at the time once the bills were passed related to the FATF. So at that time, they could not demonstrate their strength in the parliament, and rather there were 36 members they absented themselves from the parliament. So that means there is not much cohesion within the opposition parties. Yes.
Also, do continue to stay on with this, because what has now happened is that Nawaz Sharif, it appears, is likely to try and make a comeback, because this is where things could get interesting, because the former Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's comeback to the political landscape has in some ways, it appears, energized the opposition parties in uniting to take on the Imran Khan-led government. Nawaz Sharif was deposed as Pakistan's Prime Minister in 2017. In 2018, he was convicted on charges of corruption. But as he hints his return to Pakistani politics, the question, of course, is, will this comeback bid prove to be a bit of a masterstroke, or will it prove to be a political blunder for Nawaz Sharif? The Nawaz Sharif, a Pakistani businessman and a politician, served as Pakistani Prime Minister for 3 times and did not complete his term in any of those terms. Now, Sharif has been ousted indirectly and directly by army twice. He was repeatedly removed from power following tussles with the powerful generals who typically have the final say in the country's leadership. And he has again, along with the opposition parties, are demanding for an end to the interference by the country's military leaders in politics. Securing a 3rd term as Prime Minister, Nawaz Sharif had executed a remarkable political comeback in 2013. The victory was not without controversy, though. The rival Tehreek-e-Insaf party, led by Imran Khan, had denounced the election as rigged and had held protests in Islamabad for several months. But later, the 3-time premier was sentenced to 7 years in the Al Azizia steel mills case. Sharif, with his daughter and son-in-law, was also convicted in the Avonfield properties case on the 6th of July in 2018. An Islamabad court last week had issued a non-bailable arrest warrant against him in the Avonfield property case. Now that the possibilities of Sharif's return to conventional politics looks fairly strong, there are some questions that arise. One, will this new innings find any ground? And secondly, it pertains to his relevance in the Pakistani politics following the charges of corruption. And Dr. Khan, this is where I want to bring you in. Now, the fact of the matter is, Nawaz Sharif is a leader who is battling charges of corruption. He was granted bail on medical grounds and then he travelled to Britain. And now the kind of noises that he seems to be making, it looks like he'd like to return to active politics in Pakistan again. Will he gain any traction with the people of Pakistan?
Well, it's one of the two biggest parties of the country. And obviously, he has his following in this country, and particularly in the province of Punjab, from where he has always been sweeping most of the elections. And last election, as you were giving in your intro, he had a fairly good majority. That's 2/3 of the majority he had gained from that very part of the country. Rather, other parts of the country also, but not as much. So yes, I think as a democratic person, as a politician, he should come back. And that's what his followers, as I interact with some of the Muslim League Nawaz leaders here, the political leaders here, they also expect him to come back. But the bigger question is, if he's just going to address people only on social media,
right,
it would definitely make some difference, but not as big a difference as once he comes back. Rather, it would bring some friction within the party if he stays abroad. And first of all, he availed a concession which no other prisoner of the country has ever availed, that a convicted person was allowed to go for the treatment on bail by the court. So I think in his own political survival and interest, if he comes back, he would gain a mileage. Yes.
All right. Now, I would also like to ask you the statement that's been put out by the coalition of these opposition parties that they've come out. I would like to read it out to you, where they've said that they want to do everything that is illegal and is part of democracy to demand the resignation of a selected minister, the Prime Minister, and also to end the role of the establishment in politics. When they say end the role of the establishment, are they referring to the army? Is that what these opposition parties want to take on?
I think they would be in a better position to explain what they were referring to. But establishment means all the institutions, and army has also been, or the military has been also referred in that. But the question is different, But those 26 points which they have given, fine enough. That's the beauty of the democracy, that they were able to come out with all these demands and the points and the resolutions. That's absolutely fair enough in any democratic system. But the bigger question is that why didn't they go to the courts? Why didn't they raise their voice? Why did they, the opposition parties, took the oath in the parliament, right, if they felt that the election was not fair? And why the international monitors, they certified the election to be fair and transparent? So from those angles, I think once they saw, the political parties, they saw that there were so many corruption charges against most of them. So probably that's a diversion of the attention, and to probably pressurize the government that the pressure of corruption is reduced, right, or the cases are reduced.
All right, Dr. Jameel Khan, thank you very much indeed for joining us on this broadcast on WION and getting us all those insights into these fascinating developments that are taking place in the Pakistani politics. We'll, of course, continue to track them very closely here.